Welcome, everyone, to today's episode. I am very excited, although I might be calmer than excited. So I have to find a new word for excited. Today's show is very special to me. It is the second year of the Empowerment Strategist Certification and currently the last year of the Empowerment Strategist Certification until further notice. But what this group has done for me, anytime you do a test, you test and you see, okay, I'm going to ask people to join this thing with me and see if it works. And that was last year's group. And that was amazing. And there were a lot of people in that group who had already been really active in my community and I knew them. And it felt like a really cool first run. And in life, as you do something over and over again, you get better at it. And you get better and you get better. And so here we are, year number 2. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, you guys have heard from some of these trainers before, some of these coaches and empowerment strategists before on a previous episode. But today, what they don't know, and what I realized as I was looking through my planner, is that today's our last meeting. We have been on this 6-month journey, and I realized our last meeting was a case study. And it was our last group meeting. So this recording of this podcast is our last group meeting. And I wanted to set the tone for that because I wanted to be able to reflect back what has happened over the last 6 months. I did not know the magic that would happen again. The first group kind of knew each other, some of them from being in my groups. And I thought, well, maybe it's just because some of them have a certain kind of energy, a lot of fire signs, a lot of water signs. And this group is mostly, well, there's some fire, but we have mostly earth signs in this group. And it's just been magic. I have witnessed anyway, but it's not, you think I'm selling you something, and I am, because what I'm selling you all the time is growth. I'm selling you that you can only get to a certain point on your own. You can read books, you can listen to podcasts, you can work with a therapist or a trainer or a coach, but you will be missing what happens in a small group or medium-sized group environment for an extended period of time in really deep work. So today I'm going to introduce to you the 2022 Empowerment Strategist Certification trainers, coaches, strategists to you. Not all of them will be necessarily coaching in the future, but all of them went on a really deep dive for the last 6 months, and they did it to better themselves, their relationships, their life in all ways. And so I'm proud. I don't know if that feels good for you guys to hear that. I'm proud of you. I am so in awe of you. I'm inspired by you. I'm excited for you. And I'm excited for me too, especially since a lot of you are going to be continuing with me next year and I get to continue this growth with you. But I want to look back at what has happened and to just encourage people who are on the other side of this recording, of this microphone, of the video, of the earbuds, who are listening to the podcast, who just, they've maybe hit a wall of, I have done a lot of work on my own. And now what? What's next for me? And can I go deeper? Is there more? And like you guys, they were once someone who was listening and then questioning whether or not they should be doing a journey like this. And whether you do a journey with me or not, I'm always a proponent of doing a journey of some kind, doing some kind of deeper work, because it's what helps really change you. So with that said, I'm going to introduce, I think I'm going to do this in the order in which you guys signed up. So I think I'm going to start with Scout, because you've been with me the longest in terms of working with me one-on-one. Carol, you're probably going to be next in June. But you've heard her before on the podcast, but she is our young superstar who is juggling and doing amazing things in the world. Welcome, Scout.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Can you tell everybody why you decided to do this program and a little bit about you?
So a little bit about me is that I am 27 years old. I am mother to 4 kids and a business owner. I live in Northeast Pennsylvania. And for a really long time, I just had this overwhelming feeling that life should feel better, that we were here for more than what I was putting forth. And I had a lot modeled to me throughout my lifetime of people just kind of putting their heads down, doing what they were supposed to do, but not a lot of witnessing of people doing things because it made them happy or fulfilled. And so I didn't know that's what I was looking for, but I found JJ just through typing spirituality into the podcast search bar. And I haven't looked back since. I started with 1 episode and then I binge listened as many as I could. Then through the pandemic, I listened to How to Feel Better Right Now, and I reached out to her for more one-on-one help. I dabbled around with that, but I ended up going through a home buying purchase and a lot of unexpected costs. So I kind of had to pull back. Then she ran the beta course, and I really wanted to do that, but I was about to have my fourth baby. So timing wasn't really right. And I'm so glad that I ended up in this group because I've made so many wonderful connections with these women, and the community that we've created has just been life-changing.
Thank you, honey. And more from Scout. I asked him a bunch of questions that I'm going to share on this show today. Let me bring Carol on. Carol, you had joined what was the Inner Circle membership, and it is now Empower You. And then I did meet you. We did have a short Zoom call last year, and then you joined this year's group. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, JJ. It's such a pleasure to be here. Yes, I was listening to your shows for a few years, I think since 17. And like Scout, I typed into the podcast search energy and spirituality, and I found you, and I was like, yay, this is somebody I can relate to. And after that, I would listen to you while I was in the car and long journeys. I would listen to you when I was doing the housework. It was just really made tedious tasks a lot more interesting. And at the time, so I'm a mom of 3. So I was mostly a stay-at-home mom, but then I had my own therapeutic practice as well. So I worked with clients as an energy healer and as a counselor. So I joined the Empowerment Strategist group to kind of get more tools, to work with people, because I kind of felt like there was a bit of a gap between the energy work and the counseling work. And I just wanted to, have more tools. And I definitely got more tools. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. June, welcome to the show for the very first time.
Yay. Yes. Thanks for having me. I was introduced to JJ's podcast just like a year ago, a year and a half maybe now. And I was listening to you in the car on the way to work. I have about a half-hour commute. I'm a special educator. I've been teaching for 25 years, and I'm looking at my future retirement plan because I definitely am a doer. I have a couple of side businesses in addition to my full-time job and career as a special educator. And I am a mom of a 5-year-old daughter who I want to just be my best for. And so I started listening to JJ and I couldn't get enough. Everything that you represent, the words that you speak, the information that you share was all resonating with me. And so when she was talking about this Empowerment Strategist Certification, I felt like it really matched me. Like that title, Empowerment Strategist, like I feel like that's what I do with kids when I teach. I'm trying to help them be their best and think their best about themselves so that they can be the best learners they can be. And then in my business, I coach women to be successful in their business. So I'm always, and I see so much growth in women. So it just was a match, a total. And then all of the background that you have, JJ, with your marriage and that process, it's like, geez, she's speaking like my life. I need more of this, and I need a direction. So yeah, I'm not looking back. I'm going to keep moving forward with JJ for sure.
So if you haven't figured out by now, we are recording this on video. So for those of you that would like to meet these wonderful ladies, come to jjfilzanes.tv so you can watch the video. And if you're not on my newsletter or email list, you want to get on that. So that way you can also have the video in your inbox and you can go straight to the link, but it's jjfilzanes.tv. Thank you, June. I appreciate you also. And I'm so happy to share you with everybody. Vesta, you were next, and she has been back. You've heard her before.
Yeah. So I found JJ in January through another podcast, and she was offering a free webinar about why talk therapy doesn't work. And I just was giving it a listen because I was feeling extremely lost in my life. I've been an empty nester for 6 months. I travel for my job, which is fun, but I'm alone a lot. So I was feeling kind of a mess. And then I listened to that podcast or that webinar, and I binged a lot of episodes of Spirit, Purpose, and Energy. I signed up for this group because I love to empower people. I feel like that is one of the things I was put on this earth to do. And so after listening, and I finally had the guts to sign up, and I talked to JJ, and then here I am.
Thanks, Vesta. Appreciate you. And you're going to hear more from everybody. Nancy, you were almost the last person to sign up, I thought. So tell everybody a little bit about you, and welcome, Nancy. This is Nancy's first time on the show.
Hi, thank you, JJ. Okay, wow. After 2 failed marriages, I was going through a relationship ending, and I needed to change my ways. I needed to find out what I was doing wrong. So I went into therapy, and it didn't seem to be doing very well for me. For 2 months, I saw a therapist, and then I started listening to podcasts, and I started going down the spiritual path, and I heard about Ainsley McLeod. And so I wanted to hear some more interviews of him. So I put him in, the search engine on the podcast shows, and JJ's podcast comes up, and I listened to that. And then I kept listening to her podcast and looking through all the different things she was talking about. And then she started advertising her 3 reasons why therapy doesn't work. And I went, okay, well, I got to listen to that because it's not working for me. And it hit on all the exact things that I thought about talk therapy. So then from there, I went to the roadmap to emotional healing. And that was making so much sense, more than the therapist could do for me. And then when she started talking about her Empowerment Strategist group, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've only got like 2 days to get into this, and it's going to start. And there's only a couple of places left. It's like, oh no. So I applied for it, and I talked with her, and she said, sleep on it, think about it. And so the next day I asked for signs, and I got the signs. So I told her I was in, and here I am, learning more and more every day about myself, which is why I got onto this path for myself.
And what I love about your decision to do it, as well as Scout's decision to do it, is it wasn't about necessarily coaching anybody else. It was to do the work for yourself. And I have to say that when I started the second round, Scout was the first person to apply, and I was at a little retreat, and I said to her, honey, you got so much going on. Do you want to be a trainer? And she's like, no, I just want to be able to help people in my chair I'm a hairdresser, I have a salon, and I hear people's stories, and I want to have more tools to be able to help them. And then with you, Nancy, it was, I want to do a deep dive into myself. And that's how I always approach what I think, first we have to experience the work on ourselves. We have to have, a deep, profound experience before we can talk to anybody about what the work is, in my opinion. And that's what kind of person I want to work with in terms of if I'm referring you a client or you're working sort of under my wing, you have to represent living this, not just talking about it or know that it exists. And what I love is, even more so, if you're not going to help anybody else, just going in so deep, like saying, I'm ready to take the deepest dive possible because I'm frustrated enough. Nothing has been working. And I know, and I feel strongly about that there's hope here. So we'll hear more about, of course, your experience. And I've heard you say, so thank you, Nancy. And yeah, you got in right before we started. And then of course, not late to the party, but on perfect time, referred by June, is Sonia. So Sonia came in about a month after we started, and I said, are you ready to ready to kind of catch up? And so she's currently driving, so you won't see her yet, but welcome, Sonia, to the show. Please introduce yourself and tell people why you joined this program, what were your goals, and who you are and what you do and all that.
Hi, thank you, JJ. I am a salon owner. I am a wife, I'm a mother, and I have a very full schedule. And I found this program through June. She had mentioned JJ. I honestly feel like I was hitting burnout for the last 3 years after starting my business at home. I was working too much. I was saying yes to everything. I was really just in a tailspin. And the more that my tailspin, the more that everything else around me was starting to feel out of control. And so when I got into this program, everything started to make sense. And I felt like I could learn how to deal with my emotions. I could handle my stress better. And I thought this appealed to me mostly because I was looking for another way to grow my business, some other way to express myself that wasn't from standing behind a salon chair. And I'm 23 years doing hair, and I just don't see myself doing this into my 50s. So for me, I feel like working on myself, I knew I needed to do it, but it wasn't until I got into this course that I was able to kind of elevate myself to the next level. And I discovered more about myself than I even thought was possible.
Thank you. I love that. I can't wait to hear more as we do more details and for us to see your lovely face when we can. So I'm going to go to question number 2. I did prepare these ladies with some questions since we have a lot of strong character ones here, and they wanted to know what they were going to get into. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, sorry, you missed the event. But those of you that were there have an inside joke now and know what that means. So let's move back to to character 1. Yes, to question number 2. What has made the biggest impact on your life, and how did it, what is it? And we're going to go back to Scout.
So this and question 3, I feel I kind of had similar answers for, but I'm going to differentiate a little bit. I think that what made the biggest impact on my life was forcing myself out of my own perspective. I think as a Taurus, I'm not really super natural at doing that. And so I lived my life very much in this victim mentality of things are happening to me, people are mean, and not really understanding that we could be experiencing the exact same situation and have a completely different takeaway from it. So we have a Marco group that we're in, and we can just kind of record little snippets of what's going on with our days and kind of have everyone respond to them. And I think I kind of took advantage of this the most in the beginning. So I would, run into a problem during the day and get on Marco, and just hearing, 6 different perspectives of what was actually happening in that situation outside of what my own experience was, has been so helpful in all of my relationships, because I realize and have much more compassion and empathy for the people in my life that they're experiencing something completely separate from what I'm experiencing. And I think that has definitely made the biggest impact. And I just see so much improvement in my relationships.
I want to thank you, Scout. That's awesome. And I want to just clarify, Marco. And so, we're towards the end of the year here, 2022, and I've already sort of at the event made offers for people to continue working with me in different capacities, whether it be in a group like this or in the mastermind. And one of the things, because I'm not currently doing any more one-on-ones past this point, because it's really about honoring my own next phase of what's going on for me. And so Marco Polo is an app that we use, and they are video messages. And one of the value points, and thank you, Alejandro, if you still listen to the show, for introducing me to Marco so many years ago in the first mastermind. At that year, I did not understand its value, to give it a value in terms of my own time and monetary price. But I learned with the Empowerment Strategist last year how very valuable it was, and with the mastermind. And I think it's one of the key points of our group, because we have the lessons that we do during our group meetings, but it's the integration of those lessons in your real life. So I call it in real time. It's almost like having access to me or to a coach 24/7 if something goes wrong, that you can bring the thing immediately and apply the tools you're learning immediately to what's going on, so that you can actually start to embody what is being taught and what you're learning and how that feels, versus intellectualizing it, putting it away and hoping that you're going to use it when you're triggered. So it now has a dollar value. I have now given it a value. And it's one of the main magical things that happen into creating this community, because you get to see people, you see their faces, you feel their energy. And so the Marco Polo part is a really important part of all the groups that I do, because again, it's in that real time in real life application of things that we're learning. So I encourage people to use it when we're together. Of course, there can be an abuse of it. Nobody here has abused Marco's, but it has the option of taking too much, which is why I now give it a dollar value, because it's literally, I was coaching for free in 2020. Every time someone would come on and and I didn't give it an extra value because I didn't know it existed. And then I realized that, whoa, this is it. This is where the real value is being integrated, and it needs to have a dollar amount because I'm literally on it for hours a week, answering questions and coaching, and so is everybody else. So I appreciate that answer, Scout. And if you guys need to combine question 2 and 3, that's fine, which is what has made the biggest impact on your life, the how and the what, and what was the best, most unexpected result or experience. Scout, would you say that you covered question 3 also in your answer?
Not quite, because I wanted to differentiate them a little bit, but I just wanted to add one more thing about the Marco. I realized that having that opportunity to be on and have you kind of like on demand, for lack of a better term, but something that would have triggered me and sent me spiraling for the next 2 days, I can clear up in 10 minutes with that app. So it's just been so helpful to have that and have access to you as frequently. And I appreciate that you did that with these groups.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree that it's very impactful. Okay, let's go back to Carol for question number 2.
Well, I find it hard to pick out which has impacted me the most, because all of the modules have impacted me in a great way. I feel like I have a lot more awareness of myself. It's like, the way we have all this unconscious part of ourselves. I think this has shone a light on lots of unconscious parts of me. So it's great. It's like, okay, the core wounds has been amazing. It's taught me a lot about myself. The love languages has been great as well. And I know you discussed these on the show, but there's nothing that you compare to the actual course, because we actually work through the stuff and we process together. So that's been a huge learning, and really big. So I'm really glad, and all the modules are fantastic. I can't pick one.
Thank you. No, that's beautiful. And I appreciate that you find value in all of them. I find value in all of them, which is why they're all included, right? So I take sort of the best of the best, and that's what we work on. And again, to your point about you can't really, you can understand it, you can learn it by listening. There's a concept, but then there's the using of it. It's that integration piece of looking at it from 10 different angles, being with it, applying it. How do I see things differently? How do I interpret differently by doing it this way versus just understanding conceptually about core wounds or about love languages or about astrology or whatever. But then there's the actual application, which is why the course exists, why this group exists, and why I will do it again next year. In fact, we do have 4 out of 6 slots already filled for the next Empowerment Strategy Coaching Deep Dive program, because this group format, this period of time of 6 months, has just over and over again shown me the power of, again, the group dynamic and the group learning and the connection and the community, which has to be a part of that experience and that expression. And then, of course, learning from each other, seeing it in somebody else, and all the wonderful things you all say to each other on Marco and coach each other. Carol, you always have great insights. Everybody does, into another way to look at something. And so I appreciate that. Yes, they're all important. I don't feel like that was like you didn't skim over that by saying they all are. I agree.
Thank you. And the course is experiential. So even though you're a very academic person, and I think a lot of us in this, earthy signs are very academic and we're very much in our head, it's an experiential learning. So we have to experience it and become vulnerable with each other. And that's amazing learning and amazing connection. And I think it's a top rate course. I really recommend it to people, and I'm really glad I've taken it. And we've got all the recordings. So I feel like I'm going to go over them all again and go deeper, even further still, because we've got them all in the library, which is amazing. Thank you.
You're welcome. And as I said in the beginning, I got better doing it again. Like I think I now, even though I've been kind of teaching core wounds since 2018, I mean, the mapping came out like during the roadmap, and then even more so with you guys. And then the self-reflection of how we core wound ourselves and how we keep that active. I went back and used that with someone from last year and really could outline a big difference. So again, I get better and better the more that I teach it. I don't know if I can get better than this. I mean, I feel like I've hit like the stride of the point of this. So anyone moving forward, I can make it super streamlined and applicable and easy to use and understand. So June, let's move to you. What's made the biggest impact on your life?
Yeah, I don't know really where to start, but I agree with Carol. I am so happy that I'm going to be able to go back and kind of dig in deeper, because there's so much content in what you've provided us. My favorite to begin with, that roadmap to emotional healing, and focusing on your feelings and needs, and figuring out, what is it that's triggering me, and what are the feelings that I'm having, and then what needs can I get met here. That process has definitely been life-changing. I've always, seen myself like, man, people see me out in my jobs, in my careers, and all the things I do. I'm a very happy, joyful person. And for the last several years, I've been coming home, and that person gets shut off when I walk through the door. And that has been the biggest change of like, why, like figuring out, why was I doing that? Why was I shutting down or coming down from this high level of functioning of this really happy feeling person to walking through my door and being a different person? And I found my way home. I found me. I wondered why I didn't bring tissue when I came here, because I'm going to need it, I think. But I wrote something down that I wanted to share that I felt was like my biggest wake up call. My happiness cannot be about anyone else's. I wrote behavior, or like how somebody else is feeling shouldn't be impacting how I'm feeling. My happiness is about my own alignment and my behavior, and stand in awareness and be who you are. And that for me, I mean, it sounds so simple, but by digging deep with all of this work that you've provided us, JJ, that I will continue to dig deep in, I have found my way home. I keep saying I'm staying in my lane. I'm going to be who I am, who I'm meant to be. And by doing that, the people around me in my home are in a better alignment, just by me changing my behavior, not me asking to change anyone else's behavior, but by me changing who I'm showing up to be in my home. It's helping everybody else. Yeah.
Yes, I'm wiping a tear away here, because I think I've said that to you, because you and I started with like 2 one-on-one sessions, and you're like, oh, I'm going to be one of your empowerment strategists in the future. I'm like, no, you're going to be one now. You're not going to wait because of what you're going through. You need to do this right now, because 2 sessions will not be enough to help and get you through. And again, really take this material to where it needs to be, like Carol was saying, experiential. And I, in fact, was talking to a client. I had a VIP day over the weekend, and she is doing the mastermind next year, but she hasn't done all this work, but we did. Like literally the VIP day was 100% core wounds, and with a little bit at the end of sort of upper limits. And I said, you can shift your relationship by yourself. You do not need buy-in. You do not need to threaten somebody to necessarily come in and say, you have to change for me to be happy. And now that person may need to grow also, but there's so much work that can be done. And whether you stay together or not, this is the space, when you have a willing partner, to let yourself grow and see how your energy and frequency shifts them automatically without them doing anything. And just you changing. I mean, it's been happening over the years. I see it. I work with one person and their whole relationship changes just by one person. So please, if you're out there and you're someone who thinks, I have to have buy-in from my partner, in order for us to have a better relationship, maybe later you do, but you can always start with you, and you can always make you better, and you can always shift how you show up. You can always shift how you react, and you can always shift what your expectation is in order to bring out the best of the people around you, because that is something you do have control over. The story that you tell, the frequency you're on, the expectations that you have. Allow that person to meet you where that is. And if you always expect the worst, you're going to always get the worst. But when you elevate to the place of understanding that you pull from them what your picture in your mind is. And if we can't change that, then you're not setting yourself up to win. So I appreciate that, June, because I did say that to someone recently, and I'm going to say that to everybody who's listening and or watching, that please stop blaming your partner for the marriage, the relationship, the situation that you're in, because until you're clear about you and you're the happiest, cleanest, clearest, most positive version of you, right? We still have room. We still have room to make change just by how we emanate who we are and what we see and how we see and what we expect. And we can pivot quickly and ask for more. So now, Nancy, I see you over there too. I can't tell if you're next. No, Vista's next, but I can't tell. We'll come back to you whenever, if you're just sort of having an allergic reaction or if you're tearing up also, because I'd like to hear that. So Vesta, what has made the biggest impact on your life? What and how?
There's a couple, but they tie in together. The core wound work was very vital for me to be able to move forward. But by doing all the rampaging of appreciation, I think it made the core wound work a lot easier, because every time something negative happened, it's still to this day, I try to rampage and pivot in any way I can possibly do that. But I didn't know I didn't know my core wounds. I mean, I had ideas, but I didn't really know. And once they were solidified, it's easier for me to change my behavior to make it more positive and more appreciative. And I think the more positive that I put out, the more I get in. And it took me this whole year to learn just that alone. And I love that. And the biggest impact is the tribe and the people. I feel truly, truly blessed to have every one of you in my life. And then the live event was just like the icing on the cake for people. It was not just you all, but you all, and then also like more people, just more of the tribe in the flesh was so amazing. And it was like the tipping point for happiness for me.
Thank you. I was Scout's making a little heart. I was actually editing that podcast, which was out last week, as you guys are hearing this. And it was a really great way to start today with you guys, was to sort of hear everybody's appreciation about, and it just kept saying over and over again, being in person, just, you can't beat it. There are no words for this feeling. There's no words that we can, that will translate into the experience that you have when you're all together in person. And there won't be a big live event next year in 2023, but there will be both the retreats for the mastermind. So there will be 2 in-person events there, and the retreat for the Empowerment Strategy coaching program. So the 6 people who do next year like this will also have their own little retreat. But we'll be back in 2024, hopefully, with a big live event. But again, these relationships were created over Marco and over Zoom. And then the meeting in person was, like you said, the icing on the cake. The relationship's already there. But Marco does have a way of bridging that gap a little bit from Zoom, right? And phone calls and text messages until you meet in person. So thank you so much for that. And we've all seen each other's growth. And you know what? I'm going to put in another question. I would love at the end, before we close out our final meeting that's here live and being recorded and shared with the world, I would love for each of you to just acknowledge the growth you see in each other. And I think that would be really important, because again, there's what our awareness is of what we see, and then there's someone else's reflection. So I think that'd be really important. So, so all of you character ones, go ahead and start writing down all the things you think you want to say to each person while you're not talking. All right, Nancy.
Okay. Well, listening to all of everybody's testimonies has been, I don't know, bringing me back to the beginning. And the reason I came on here, or to the group, was to find out why I was attracting the wrong type of people, and my relationships patterns, and how to change them, and where they were coming from. So core wounds was my biggest learning curve, and I'm still learning. You just have to keep digging deeper and deeper and they keep showing up and showing up. And then I have siblings that haven't quite got there yet, some of them. And so, you see their core wounds, and they're different than mine because we've experienced our family differently. So, and we're different ages. And so even the law of attraction thing, just this morning, I thought, wow, that's my new law of attraction. I need words of affirmation more than quality time. Things are just changing. They're always changing. And I was thinking about that, and I thought, well, that makes more sense than the quality time. It's just, everything just changes. And then it all goes back to core wounds. You start investigating one thing that you have an aha moment about, and then you go, oh, wow. So where did that come from? And you go back into your core wounds and your feelings and needs, and oh my gosh, it's just endless search for yourself, really. And then when you have to incorporate it with somebody else, it's like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? So it's just amazing. And then our your live event with the new ways of whole brain living, that opened up a whole new can of worms for me, a good can of worms. So I can shift from my thinking brain into something more fun that I used to be like, until I got into this black hole that I'm digging myself out of. And that has just been a game changer for me. So if I had to pick the top two, I'd say core wounds and whole brain living. But everything is a part of all of it.
Thank you. Yeah, I was actually thinking about teaching a course, but I'm like, I can't call it whole brain living because that's not mine. I was like, maybe I can do a course in the future, or, do Awaken Your Dream Life 2.0 in 2024, where we invite people who haven't done the work to do what you did this year. And those of you that have done it to take it deeper. Cause I actually have ideas about how to take that character work a little bit deeper. Because there's a lot, it's very rich. There's a lot to do with it. So I appreciate that, Nancy. I feel, and I'm sure you guys will probably agree, but you can say this if you want to at some point, there's a certain amount of, there are people that search information and they keep searching and they keep searching and they keep searching. And the reason is because I don't think they actually apply it. Like, they know it. And if knowing it doesn't change them, then they keep looking for more. And for me, I have noticed that there's a stopping point for me. Like, the reason most of you have heard on the podcast, I haven't done Enneagram, and I don't know that I will, because every time I examine it, I'm not interested, because astrology tells me the same thing. Human design might be something I move to next, but I'm still slowly moving towards it, because I don't necessarily feel it's told me anything, again, that astrology can't. So why add 5 more tools when I don't need to, when I can just go deeper with what I already have? And what I've told people in the past is, I think I've given you the best of the best. And if you just stuck with these 5 or 6 tools, like, for the rest of your life, I even say that about the feelings and needs list. I'm like, if you could just master this, the feelings and the needs list, if you understand every time you feel negative emotion, you just take responsibility and figure out and uncover what your real need is, not the need of the conditions or circumstances or people. But if you figure out what your real need is, that one exercise alone, I think, can change someone's life completely. And I feel like that about all these exercises. And I don't necessarily, not that I'm saying that we don't need to grow and you won't outgrow or some other thing, whether it be energy medicine or whatever, like meditation, hypnotherapy. I mean, there are other things, right? But when it comes to understanding, I've had someone who is considering doing the 3-month beta. And when I talked with her, she said, oh, I don't think 3 months is enough. And I said, it's not for you, because she spent $200,000 on Joe Dispenza and this workshop and this. And then, but she still says, but I still don't know why I do this, or why I react this way, or I do this. I said, oh, you will not have those questions at the end of working with me. This 6 months, if nothing else, you will know the reason why you do everything you do, how you upper limit, why you upper limit, what your core wounds are, why you see the world this way. You will know all of that by the end. And you'll never again be confused about why you are where you are. And I hope that that's, I mean, I see you guys shaking your heads. But I mean, I feel that's a pretty strong, like the answers are all here. Here are all the answers. It is not a mystery. We can explain it right here with all the tools in this course of why you are where you are and why you can't get more than what you have. So thank you for that, Nancy. I appreciate the thoroughness of your, and at one point it sounded like you were like, it's so overwhelming, but I also know, and I've seen your growth, and you wouldn't be here if it wasn't impactful and started to help change you and the way you feel about you and the growth that you've had. Right. Yeah. You have to be willing to do the work, and that's for anybody who's interested. But I think if you're listening to my show and you're still here, and if you just found this show and you're still listening right now, you're interested. And it's about the courage and bravery and to love yourself enough, to respect yourself enough, to invest in yourself in a big way. We buy houses, we go to school for education and degrees. We spend money on travel and food and clothes and probably a lot of things. But when it comes, but people get triggered when it comes to investing in yourself to be happier. And they're like, whoa, that's expensive. Really? I got to do that? Well, no, you don't. But if you do, it takes you up a couple notches in terms of your own self-respect for saying, I love myself enough to figure this out once and for all, at least the whys of it. And then the embodiment of it and the expansion of it, well, that goes on forever. So Sonia, darling, what has made the biggest impact on your life? The how and the what?
Wow. Everything you just said. Honestly, all of it. I mean, like you said, like if we just took the time to master everything in this course, we'd have everything we need. And I don't feel like I'm anywhere close to mastering any one thing, but I would say the two things that have made the biggest impact in my life right now was the Law of Attraction course and the upper limiting with Guy Hendricks. I just feel like for me, exactly what you just said, there's a difference between knowing it and applying it. And a lot of information that we got to expose to through this course, I knew some of it. I've heard of some of it, but I wasn't applying it in a way that was effectively making change. I knew I wasn't living my best life. I knew I had a good life. I was thankful for the things I had, but I'm thankful for things in such a different way that it's like my feet don't touch the floor anymore. And when the contrast or the bumps in the road happen, it's so amazing to go into your little tool basket that you have now and figure out how can I get over this? Or if I don't know how, I have a tribe of people to call and I can go back to a video, or I can go back and find the information I need. But Law of Attraction. So I feel like when I was looking in the mirror or doing self-reflection, I wasn't really happy with the person I was seeing. And I knew that I needed to be the one to change it, but it wasn't until I really started to be the change that I wanted to be. And that was literally practicing it every single day. So taking the things that you were saying to do every single day and doing them. And that for me was one of the hardest things, was consistency. And it didn't happen overnight. I had to keep doing it. But then once I started really practicing and applying it, then I found that I got the rewards. And then once I started getting the rewards, whether it's weight loss or whether it's happiness, you just like, then you want to do more of it. And so for me, the Law of Attraction course was really immediately got results with my children, with my husband, with the clients behind my chair, for my friends and family and now it's like this feeling of just like I'm open. I guess, turned on. All the different words that you could use. My frequency is higher. I feel like now, those upper limits that I were having before look totally different. And I really liked that part of the course.
You are tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Sonia. All right, back to Scout. So we're going to go with what's the best, most unexpected result and experience, something you did not know you wanted coming in that you got.
So I would have to say that the most unexpected thing is seeing the shifts in my relationships. And I felt like I kept running into the same issue over and over in my relationships, where I had I would leave my interactions with disappointment, and I wasn't really sure why that was happening. But I realized through doing all of the work that we have done that I wanted somebody to see me, to hear me, to understand me. And I didn't feel like anyone in my life was really aware of themselves. So how are they going to be aware of what I needed and really show up for me? And the community that we've created here has been life-changing. I know I can feel every single one of you, just like feel me, see me, hear me. And that has been like, I haven't really been deeply rooted in faith or in anything. And so that's been another thing to learn through JJ, all of the different beliefs that she has. And I've never resonated so much with what someone believes. And so that has also been life-changing. And I think that not being deeply rooted in understanding why we're here, or that, we have whatever it is that someone believes, but with like the sacred contracts and that we've planned our lives before we even got here. That has been one of the most empowering things for me also, that life isn't just happening to me, that we're here for lessons and to learn. And so understanding that and combined with all of the relationships that I have built with each and every one of you, that has been, I think, the most unexpected experience, because I definitely get nervous around people. And so I wasn't really sure coming into this how I was going to be interacting with everyone. And it's just been instantly comfortable. So that has been really great.
Awesome. Thanks, Scout. Carol. Sorry, I'm going to talk less because this is about you guys. So the question is, what was the best, most unexpected result or experience that you've had that you didn't have any idea you'd get?
It has to be similar to Scout. The deep, honest, authentic friendships that I've built in this community. It's just gone way more than I expected. Like I have new BFFs and I wasn't expecting that.
We have a new sister tribe.
Yes.
We have a new sister tribe.
And sometimes when you do this work, and it's difficult process work, you need a lot of support. And sometimes people, like in courses I've done before, you get the support mostly outside and a little bit inside the group. But this is all inside the group. I think with the tools of Marcos that we can relate to each other in real time as things happen. We don't have to wait for the next call. And it's amazing, the friendships that I've built up, and I'm very grateful for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so anyone who's listening, it's not just for women. In the next group, there of the 4 people that have signed up already, 2 are men. So, and just wanted to make that encouragement that it's not just for women. In fact, I will maybe eventually do a men's only group, but when I asked both men who are doing the group if they prefer a men's only group, they both said no. They both said no, there's value in having women there. So FYI, in case you're a man listening to this or a woman listening to this for their husband, son, father, brother, there is, especially when it's not someone there's definitely value in, and both the women in it wanted men in it too. So everybody was excited to have both men and women in it. So, So June, what was your most unexpected result or experience?
Well, I think it's really unexpected that this mama would get up way earlier than I did in the past. I wake up at, sleep is always so important to me. This seems silly, but it's so powerful. So I'm now getting up an hour early every day just to have some me time. To have some time for myself. I'm practicing. I listen to Abraham to start my morning every morning. It's like 15 minutes of just gold. And then I'm starting to practice meditation for the first time in my life. And I'm telling you what, I feel so good every day when I start my day that way. And the next unexpected things that happen, I see hearts everywhere. Oh, there's a heart rock, or oh my God, that leaf just randomly in my path is a heart. It's kind of nuts how much it's wonderful. It's absolutely, and I internally feel so much love, and then it continues. I'm driving down the road to work and I see the sun rising over the mountains, and I have this overwhelming full body love experience. It's that kind of stuff that like is a shift, that we have a gift every day to notice the beauty in this world. And it's just pouring in and out of my body. And then I know I'm walking around with that, shining my love on others. And then the unexpected thing that happens, I come home and I sit at dinner and my husband says, you know what I think we should do? I think we should every night at dinner share something we appreciate about our day. Now that was unexpected and beautiful, but it wasn't me initiating that, but like by just spreading joy and love every day where I'm feeling it, it impacts people around you. So like me deciding to feel good no matter what is happening around me is helping others. I can see it. It's helping others feel good no matter what.
Absolutely. I mean, you are already a bright light, but now it's the power you have to even shine brighter and to affect others. And that's what I was saying in the beginning. We don't have power over how someone else shows up or reacts or interprets, but we have complete control over how we show up, how we see people, to elevate them and to extract out of them the best of them by being the best of us. So that's beautiful. Vesta, what was the most unexpected result or experience?
Mine is self-love, appreciation for myself, and inner happiness. I knew coming into the course that that's kind of what I've been looking for a long, long time. I knew it would take work, and it still takes a lot of work all the time. I feel like I'll be, we're on this journey forever, not just 1 year of our lives. But I feel like the amount of self-love I've gotten in the last year just by taking this course is astounding. That's for sure. And that's the hardest thing for me to have, and it's the hardest work to do, but it's the most impacted in my world.
And we all see it. And we love you. Thank you. Nancy, what's the most unexpected result or experience you've had?
Well, learning about myself, the truths about myself that I didn't know and what they meant, that I was a people pleaser, and what I did to do that was give up myself. And I needed to listen to my intuition and trust myself. And that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, when we are aware of something, then we can start to do something about it, right? And the awareness is an important piece. Thank you for that. Sonia, what is the best, most unexpected result or experience that you have had?
I think that my most unexpected result was that I found a way to be more vulnerable. I just felt like a really hard shell. And that was one of the goals coming into this, was that I have put layers and layers and layers and layers of coating around the stuff that was hurting on the inside. And I really think I did crack that shell a little bit. And I have found more ways to be vulnerable and let some of it out. And then doing that, I have found ways to have harder conversations. I can now do that with more confidence and set boundaries. I think those are my three top things.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward to more cracking open and more allowing of that as we move forward into 2023. So question number 4, why would you, and what would you tell others about doing this work, Scout?
I would say just do it, because you're not going to get it anywhere else. I was in therapy for 6 years trying to figure this out. I have really, in my opinion, kind of upended as much as I could in order to figure it out. And it wasn't until I joined this program, and you get bits and pieces of it from the podcast and from working with JJ one-on-one, and you get some of it, but you don't get all of it. And I think this is really the best thing that I have done for myself, for my children, for my parents, for my husband. It's really impacted every person that I come into relationship with, and myself, and understanding my relationship with myself. And I wanted to kind of tie that up at the last question, but I forgot to add this, is that the other most unexpected thing for me was that because I have this group, I've been able to release that expectation from everyone else in my life. They're not on the hook anymore for showing up for me. And for that, I would say that's another giant reason to do this. You will see so much change in your relationships with everyone and with yourself.
Thank you. Can you share the story about your client that you only see twice a year that came in recently?
Sure. So I'm a hairdresser, and generally I can see people anywhere from like every 4 weeks to, twice a year. This client was a twice a year person, and she didn't know what I was doing. She is friends with me on Facebook, so she sees some of my posts, but we don't interact very often outside of the salon. And so she came to her appointment, and we had talked, and I actually had just gotten back from the live event in California. And she, we were wrapping up the appointment. I was checking her out, and she just said, "I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it." And she said that she could just see, and she couldn't put a word for it. Like, she didn't have a word for it, but she's like, "You're just so different." And I think that if I had to fill in the blank, I would say, I've found peace. I'm not so, wrapped up in every little thing that goes wrong, every little thing that, like, every speed bump that comes up in my life. And I definitely just feel more peaceful. And I think that is what she was seeing, and that's what she was trying to articulate to me.
Thank you for sharing that. I just think while I don't want to delegate, that other people need to reflect you back to you, because most people won't be able to, because if they're not on the conscious path and their frequency is lower than yours, they can't see you. As you grow into a different frequency, they literally can't see you. So they have no idea what you're doing. They don't know how to articulate it. And some people get threatened by when people grow, because they're afraid that means they're going to leave you. And you're going to and they can't put words to that though. So, but when you can have someone reflect without that attachment, without that fear, without that, them, having it land in them in a negative way. I love when people randomly just say something and could reflect back to you, that you've grown and changed. I think that's a great unexpected gift. So thank you, Scott, for that. Carol, what would you tell others about doing this work? And I know a lot of you have already said some of this, and, by now, there are the reasons to, but if there's anything you haven't said yet, what would you say?
I would say that if you have a goal or a dream and it feels very distant and very far away, and maybe down the road, 5 years away, 4 years away, whatever, if you have that, I think do the course, because it'll make your dreams a little closer and easier to get to. It just gives you the community of support to reach for what you want to reach for. It helps your relationships. It helps you get less triggered, or give you the tools that when you get triggered, you can detach and pivot much quicker. So it's an all-rounder. If you want to improve your life, if you want to get to your dreams quicker, I would say join up. It's about committing to yourself. It's about taking the time, taking the energy, investing yourself, getting vulnerable, paying what you need to pay, and doing the work. So yeah, go for it, everyone. If you're thinking about it, I would say go for it.
Thanks, Carol. Beautiful. Yes, it is an investment. I'm not going to lie. This isn't an inexpensive course, but it's there for a reason, because the more we value ourselves, these ladies have valued themselves at a level that says, I'm worth doing this. I'm worth getting to the next level in my life. And they've had the experience from that. When you give somebody something for, it's cheaper, not, what it does? It stretches you. And it's why when you have to stretch into something new, it literally says, it's a big sign to the universe. It says, I'm nervous about this. I don't know. I remember last year, it wasn't until we did this that I heard Libby say she didn't know every month where the money was going to come from. Like, she just took the head, she dove in and said, I don't know where it's going to come from every month, but I'm doing it. And of course it worked out, and then it worked out. And then it was, now she's good and everything. Like, it worked out in all ways, exactly the way that, maybe more so than what she wanted, but it was literally saying, I'll find a way, because this is so important. I can't not do it. So I want to say congratulations for all of you guys for stretching yourself into this too. Even when you have the money, it still doesn't mean it's not a lot of money that you're investing in yourself, but it is 6 months of self-growth in a way that, if you go back and think about how much I spent on therapy, or how much I spent on books or whatever, and you add that all up over the years, this is a fast track. And like Carol said, you do get the recordings, which forever and ever, and you can go back and revisit this every year as a refresher if you'd like to, or whatever that you need to. So thanks, Carol. June, what would you say?
I would say absolutely invest in you. Like, we all deserve to be the best version of ourselves. We all came in to grow in this lifetime, and we chose our paths to grow. And by doing this work, you can really dig deep and figure out, well, why is it that I chose to put myself in the place to be triggered by that person? And what is my growth here? What am I going to do? And how am I going to be the best version of myself? So yeah, if you don't stop thinking about this is what happened to me. I would listen to JJ in the car, and I couldn't wait to listen to it on the way home at the end of the day. And the next day, oh, yep, I'm going to listen to JJ again. If you don't stop thinking about, maybe I should do that, like JJ said, down the road, I want to do that because I'm teaching. And when I retire, I think that would be a really great thing for me to do. Well, no, if you're thinking about it, do it now, because invest in you, in your growth, in your personal growth to be the best version of yourself.
Thank you, June. And thank you for listening to me when I said, no, you're doing it now.
I was like, okay. If JJ says do it now, I was like, okay.
Well, I had reasons. I said, look, you can wait, but it doesn't make any sense. Do it now. So thank you, June. Vesta, what would you say?
I would tell people that you are worth it. You are worth the money. Not you. As
you meaning the person, not me.
Not
you, the person, right?
I would have paid double to be as happy as I am right now. So, I mean, if it's the investment you're looking for, but I also think maybe be ready and open for all the things that come to, because the beginning, maybe not for everyone, but for me, it was a little rocky. I never questioned the work or why I'm doing the work, but I've been pushing things out for so long that it hits the core so hard when you're doing the work that it really affected me for a month or two, to the point where like I cried a lot and I slept a lot until it all started to come out and flourish. So be ready, and really it makes you like super ripe, and so be ready for that.
Thank you. The next show next week will be You Have to Feel It to Heal It with Dr. Sharon Stills. She interviewed me on her podcast and has allowed me to repurpose it for you guys. And we talk about that, but you have to feel it to heal it. So thank you, Vesta. Nancy, what would you say?
Well, so I've talked to a lot of friends about different things that I've learned, and they just sit there and listen in awe. I think some can relate, some not so much, but it's all right. Eventually, I think that they'll probably get there. But I've heard people say that they'd never change a thing in their life to get where they are. And I just didn't quite understand that. And they're enlightened, they're happy. And so right now I'm thinking, okay, all of these lessons that I'm learning, the tools that I'm learning are the ways, or they're the answers to the life that I chose, the lessons that I chose to learn being a human. And this is where they're coming from when they say I wouldn't change a thing, because I have to go through these steps. The things that I used to call mistakes, they're not mistakes, they're lessons. And I had to learn them, even if it's tough. But I'm glad I'm doing it. And I did ask myself, am I worth it? Of course I'm worth it. So, and I'm the big crier of the group.
You're not the only one. Vesta would be next in there. Don't worry, we're all cry. And yes, you're worth it. And you're all worth it. We're all worth it. And thank you for that, because that's beautiful. Yes. Doesn't it feel better to say this is a lesson, not a mistake? I mean, just that alone, just boom, that right there, right? Yeah. Like is very forgiving to say it's a lesson, not a mistake. Right. And there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, I still need to learn it if I'm still having the same lesson.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
gives you choice, gives you power. So thank you, Nancy. That was beautiful. Sonia, what would you say to someone?
I mean, I feel like everyone has said everything I already wanted to say. So I guess I could cap off with, are you curious about what your life could be? Because I think for the person who's curious about maybe something that they haven't experienced yet or something that isn't yet happened, I feel like this is the course that even if you didn't know why you needed this program specifically, what specific thing you needed to exactly work on, you're going to find it and you're going to figure it out. And I think this is going to bring out things, as we just said, like unexpected. There's so much value to it. I was definitely had sticker shock for me. I'm glad that I did not let that hold me back. And now that I've completed the course, I agree with Vesta. This is worth way more than what we paid. And I've gotten so much out of it in really a very short period of time for how much struggle I've had in my life, my 40 years of my life. And to be feeling this good in such a short period of time is just phenomenal. And lastly, since I'm the last to answer this question, I mean, who doesn't want to work with JJ? I mean, honestly, this woman, she's amazing. And if you get the opportunity to work this closely with somebody who has the amount of knowledge she has, you're not going to find that, and we're all sitting here in this tribe really happy and content with the experiences we've had. And it's because of her. And she makes this course. Yes, the material is great, but she makes this course.
Well, if I wasn't crying before, I'm welling up now, and I'm going to try to subdue that just a little bit so I can get this through. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you, Sonia. That was beautiful. And thank you for rounding that out. I want you guys to reflect back to each other. I'm just going to, you don't have to go through each person if you don't want to, but you can, if you can make it sort of short and sweet. We don't have to tell big stories about the growth that you've seen in each other, because I want you to hear that. And since this is our last meeting together of this group, like this, and you all get to hear and be a fly on the wall for our last group meeting. And so it's going to go a little longer than a normal show, and I don't care. I'm going to be the new Joe Rogan. I'm going to take we're going to make a 3-hour show next. Okay. And I don't care because it's not about what you think on the other side of the microphone necessarily. It's about what I want to present and do and have this wonderful engagement with these ladies who have added value, without an audience, obviously, and without you guys, I don't get to do this. And so I appreciate all of you for participating, for being interested, for heeding the call, for investing in yourself. And yes, in me, but you're not really investing in me. You're always investing in yourself. Yes, you want to trust the person you're investing in the program, but ultimately it's your job to get the most out of whatever it is that you're doing. And that first initial step is really not about, you can trust me and you should trust me before doing something like this. If you're someone who doesn't, Sonia, you're saying who doesn't want to work with me. Oh, plenty of people don't want to work with me for different reasons. And that's not because there's nothing wrong with me or necessarily anything wrong with them. We just don't resonate. We're not a match. It's not the right teacher at the right time. But for a lot of people, I am the right teacher at the right time. And it's really, and some people, like I know you guys all know Maureen is doing the mastermind next year. She's been to every live event since I've had them. And this is her year to invest in her for her reasons. She's ready. It's taken 5 years to be ready at that kind of level to sort of explore what's possible for her. But she knew it was coming, and she was thinking about it before she even got to the event because she knew it was coming. And she's like, okay, it's my time. So timing is important, trusting who you're following. And hopefully the other thing is that you trust the person or the leaders or the leadership and the structure. I'll say this now because I feel like this is sort of appropriate too. I purposely didn't. I know I could have put more people in Awaken Your Dream Life, but what I don't want to do is sell people on activities or on expectations of things like, oh, we're going to do the work on this and we're going to do the work on this, because I'm selling you an idea about the content. And what works best for me and always has is for you just to trust me, to just show up. Just show up and trust me that I'm going to guide you through, because it's going to change. It changes every time I have an event, that I can come in with a structure, but based on who's in the room, where we are, what's happening, I adjust. I literally, which is awesome for me because it's not like a cookie cutter, boom, boom, boom. Here's what we're doing every single time. Every event changes. As I grow, so does the material. And as you grow, I grow, we find new things to do together. And or we go back and revisit a simple thing that we've done in the past. But it's a constant, like, living embodiment of this work and what we all need. So I did not purposely tell all of you in the audience what we were going to do at Awaken Dream Life, because I didn't want you coming in expecting something. And then if I had to change it, you'd be like, well, why didn't we do that thing? Like, just trust me or don't trust me. And if you trust me, I want to work with you. And if you don't trust me, I'm happy to educate you to the degree that you're willing to listen and put it into your life. And maybe one day I'll get to meet you or work with you. And if not, that's cool too. Plenty of people find value in my show without ever showing up to something, paying me, or, being a part of a group. But if you're ready to make quantum leap change into your life, this is the place to do it. So let's start with Scout. What do you want to tell everybody, each individual person, about any kind of growth that you've seen from them? And please don't make this pressure. We've all seen growth with each other, but you can say whatever is comfortable.
Okay, make it short and sweet. And I'm just going to go in the order of the people on my screen. Vesta, I think that your self-worth has skyrocketed every time that we have a meeting and you say, sorry, wait, no, I'm not sorry. It makes me laugh and it makes me so proud of you for how far you have come. Nancy, your vulnerability in the first call, I think, really helped propel everyone else opening up. And you've apologized for it since, for being the crier of the group, but we need you because you cracked everybody else open too, I think. And I feel much like it was almost like I felt like you were mad in the beginning, and I feel like you have become so calm and peaceful, and it's really beautiful to see. Carol, you are like the cheerleader of the group, and you are the wise woman. And I'm in the beginning, I was kind of like, what is she's already like got this, but you've only become wiser. So that's the growth that I see in you. June, you are definitely a light. I think everyone could say that about you. I think you had a little bit of a lampshade over your light in the beginning, but the lampshade is gone and you are just shining and doing great. And Sonia, you definitely were kind of closed up, and I didn't really feel in the beginning like I understood you or I knew you, but seeing you, especially on that one Zoom call that we had where you opened up and really let it out, it's amazing to watch you progress also, and to feel comfortable opening up. I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Thanks, Scout. Well done. Carol.
It's going to be hard to follow that one. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay. It's going to be hard to follow Scout. So, Scout, I've seen you open up immensely, and being so honest and so vulnerable with us has helped all of us be honest and vulnerable and authentic. And I really thank you for that. Vesta, you're definitely less apologetic for your existence, and I just see you shining. You're just glowing, and it's wonderful to witness that too. June, yeah, I think you're taking responsibility for yourself in many ways, and I think that what you said earlier about not changing the other person, but the changes within you, I think you've really applied that, and it's been amazing to watch that. But it's been enlightening as well. Thank you. Nancy, yeah, I thought you were really quiet, and I think you really, especially at the live event, it was so lovely to see you be so whole in yourself and fun and engaging, and you really engaged so much with all of us. It was lovely to see that, because I think you were quite an introvert before that. Well, I thought you were an introvert, so I could have been wrong, but I just see you become more comfortable in your skin and fun as well. Sonia, I think, yeah, I've seen your growth through, you've really dived into this work. Like you didn't hold back with doing the exercises at all. You just went 100% into it. And to see your growth instantaneously happen was also very inspiring. So thank you very much.
Thank you. June, your turn.
I feel bad for the person that has to go last. You all did. That was wonderful. So I'm going to do quick descriptors. So I'm going to start with you, Scout. Like, you blew me away, girl. Like, if I had only been 20 years ago, I would have been, I'm 47, you're 27. I just think it's remarkable that you're doing this work now at your age, and you're like a little fireball. And I can't wait to just see you keep going. I'm going to have these little descriptors for each of you. And fireball was like the first thing that came out of my head for Scout. Vesta, everybody's rampage partner, just willing to devote all that time to everybody, and hold us all accountable for rampage of appreciations every day. Like, just I thanked you over and over for that. You're just remarkable. And let's see, Nancy, I love your tears. I love the vulnerability, and I love how Scout said that, you helped us get right into it with the vulnerability. And yeah, I think we all thank you so much for that. Carol, I could listen to your voice all day long. You're calm. You're like this calm, peaceful, I would pay for your counseling any day. I love listening to your voice, and it's like very wise. When you speak, I want to just listen to every ounce. So thank you. I feel like this is more like a thank you thing, but I can't help it. This is where I'm going. And Sonia, yeah, you talked about like this hard shell, and at the Awaken Your Dream Life event, when you broke down, it was beautiful. And I was sitting right next to you, and I could feel it. And I'm just really very proud of you for letting it go in a room of a lot of people that you just met 24 hours earlier. So it wasn't just us, it was like opening up to these strangers. And so I'm really proud of the growth that I've seen in everybody. And thank you. Thank you for this experience.
Thanks, June. Okay, Vesta, you're up.
Scout. I tell you almost every meeting how amazing I think you are, because you're so young, and I feel like you are so brave, and you just got braver. You become vulnerable, all the things, and more confident in what you say. And I think that's amazing. And June, I don't think you let anybody dim your light anymore. That's what I see. And that's what Scout said, and that's what I see. And I hope you're enjoying your food as much as you used to. And Carol, same, more confident. I think, especially when we have one-on-ones, well, whatever. Me and Carol rampage and talk a lot. And I was lucky enough to be led a meditation by her yesterday, and that was amazing. And I also love to hear you talk. Nancy, that another brave. I feel like you've been more vulnerable. You used to message me like on the side to like put your point in for the whole group, not for me to say it, but just like I would hear it. And I was like, and now you're brave enough and you put it out there for everyone to hear. And I think that's amazing. And Sonia, I think your confidence has gone up too, to be more open and more confident to start the next chapter of the dream life that you really, really want.
Beautiful. Thanks, Vesta. Nancy.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Scout, you're always the first. We were partners at the very beginning. And so she's the youngest, I'm the oldest in the group. And it's like, in our first one-on-one together, trying to figure out what this is. And so it was really hard to, I don't know. I felt like maybe you thought I was like your mom. You couldn't relate to me or something. I don't know. It was a hard start because we were the first pair up. And as the Marco Polos came through and everything, I'm thinking, wow, Scout has got it together. She, for her age, I wish I was that smart at my age, but you're amazing. Carol, I love your spirituality and your intuitiveness and your wiseness. And I can't imagine how much more you're going to grow out of this. It's just amazing. June, you were a star, and your star is shining brighter, and I just wish it could flow over to me 3,000 miles away, maybe so. And I enjoyed our one-on-ones, and we had a lot in common. Vesta, oh my gosh, you're a rampage queen. You are a bright light, and it's gotten so much brighter just in your face. You don't even have to talk. You just glow. And Sonia, it was really great to meet you in person. You got onto the group later, but and you felt closed a lot, but you're so smart and so open now, and you've grown so much and discovered so much about yourself. And I think, well, we're all smart, but I don't know, just we've all grown so much, and I appreciate every one of you for all of the stuff that we've gone through, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Nancy. Sonia. And by the way, you're not last. I am. Good, Sonia.
Scout, I think that I'm kind of going to tag off of what June said. I wrote down firecracker, but I do agree. I think that you have been your very authentic self this whole time. And I think that the growth that you've had is amazing for somebody as young as you with as much on your plate. And I'm very proud of you. Vesta, you are a woman who doesn't need to apologize anymore. And you're going to go do some really great things with, I think, all these tools that you have. But I feel like you have cheerleaded and showed up for every other person in this group so much, and not in a way that brings you down. Like, you just have that strength inside you to hold that space for everyone else. Carol, I feel like you are our old soul. I too questioned why you were here, but then I did see you get so vulnerable in so many different ways, and you shared so much really great advice that I know that's not always easy to share. Your personal stuff, as you've all said, is not always easy. I really am curious to see where you're going to be in another 10 years, because you're so wise. Nancy, there was a lot of tears, but there's that smile, and you're kind of doing it right now. And I just feel like, even though maybe there were the tears, it's like you were holding space for all of us. And I just feel like the growth that you've had maybe is different than everyone else, because I think that you really are figuring out who you are. And it's really cool to see. And I think, I hope that person is coming for you. That's going to really complete you, because you are enough and good enough and great. And Miss June, I was lucky enough to kind of see your sunshine before we started this program, but I really feel like you changed your mindset. And I think that mindset change is really going to be able to effectively help other people. And I think that was your goal, and you'll do it.
All right. Before I do it and close up the show, is there anything anyone else would like to say that I've missed? Is there something you would like to, Vesta?
It's my character one, but we never went over question number 5.
Right. I wrote in the chat that we're going to skip it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't do that. Okay.
Would you like to answer question number 5?
No. It's fine.
Okay. All right. So anyone else want to say anything before I go through my analysis, if you will, and then close the show? Okay. No one is shaking their head. All right. So, Scout, you already know how much everyone thinks you're amazing and talk about your age. And you're probably, I don't know, for some people, when age comes up, whether it be old or younger, people don't want to be attached to that. And I hope that you feel the strength in the compliment that comes from why we all talk about it, because it comes from a place of not necessarily regret, but boy, we wish we would have done what you are doing. And so it's a true testament to that. And through this, though, you've had a lot of pain in your life, and you have holded that, and you've sort of allowed that to kind of keep you down. And I have seen you take it off your shoulders and emerge and allow yourself to put it down, let it go, forget about it, give it less meaning, and really embrace who you are, where you're going. Such to the point of making big decisions about yourself and what you need, and putting your needs first, and being so solid in knowing that, and making decisions based on that it's affected the people around you, and they see that you're different and you feel different. You are brighter. You are brighter. I would encourage you to go back and watch one of your first polos. Your energy is out of you now. It was inside of you and pushed down, and now your energy is emanating all around you when you walk around. People can see it because you've allowed it out, because you're not holding back thinking that you're going to get hurt. You have more resilience. You've allowed it to shine, and you carry it you all carry it in a more confident, grounded, peaceful way, the confidence. But the difference is, instead of protecting your hearts of feeling vulnerable, you allow them out, knowing and trusting that no matter what comes your way, you can handle it, and that you deserve to let your light shine. So that is what I see from you. Carol, I thank you for being on this journey, because as everyone has mentioned, you do a lot of some of these things in your life, and coming in to get the tools, you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable also. And I really appreciate your curiosity and learning. And I've seen, that's such a beautiful, people want to work with people. I mean, at least I do anyway, and you're all here. So you see it in me. And as you've experienced at my event, I always ask, how many of you have seen me grow in the last year? And everybody's hand goes up. And people want to work with people who are on the path or on the journey, who don't just say, this is the one thing, and then you're done, and then you stop growing. And so you've been able to amplify and really illustrate for people what that looks like, to keep going and to keep allowing and to keep, and also even just in how you treat yourself and your own business and your own self-worth, right? I've definitely seen you grow into more value of who you are and what you do and what you offer, without anybody and any external validation or money or opportunities, just deciding. So I've seen your self-confidence go up. June, I have seen you take your power back, because even though you did have a light, you did also have a leak, right? And I've seen that leak be patched, and for you now to channel all of that light and energy into your love bubble is bigger. Your essence, your aura, your confidence, your brightness, your trust, your faith, and your knowingness and your consciousness has also grown. Because before, while you were conscious about other situations, right, it didn't necessarily always apply to your circumstances, because we're all taught to look at other people can hurt our feelings. Other people can make us unhappy. Other people can affect our circumstances. And you've just blown that out of the water and done a 180 on that. And so I see you as even more powerful in a focused way, not in a have to be, the cheerleader for everybody else, but no, I'm the cheerleader for myself now. You have owned being the cheerleader for yourself. Vesta, you've made a 180, and I hope you will go back and watch some of the polos from the beginning also, because in terms of, and I know you said that there was some crying and maybe some resistance in the first bit, but whatever that sunk in, and I'm going to give you credit for changing my viewpoint of Virgo moons. Okay. Because Virgo moons have not necessarily been the easiest to shift in an emotional way, in my experience prior to this. Okay. People are open, but generally I don't see a huge amount of shifts happening. And you have made a huge shift. You have allowed yourself to grow and allowed yourself to love yourself at a new level. And we all see it, and you emanate it, you glow, like Carol was saying, and Nancy was saying, you don't have to say anything. You're just essence. I mean, the way your face is, the way you hold yourself looks different, right? Showing up on a Zoom call right now, you glow. Yeah. And I feel you just accepting and loving who you are as you are right now, with no reason, no performing for love, no validation. You have taken your power back in your own self-love. Nancy, I have definitely, I would agree with, I think it was a Scout that said, or maybe Carol, somebody said that you might've come in there and you were, you had a reason to be here. It was, I want to figure this out. And the intensity about that and the personification of maybe beating yourself up a little bit for it, was a lot higher in the beginning. And now I do see you sort of softening into loving yourself and accepting and forgiving yourself for all the things that you just didn't know, because who does, unless you're learning this stuff, who teaches this? Nobody. You're not going to learn this in school. You're not going to learn it in college. You're not going to learn it. Right. And this is an experiential. So I just really honor and see your self-love in very new ways, and a softening and a forgiveness and also an allowing of the journey in a less triggered way. Not because you're crying, but like less triggered mean like you're not fighting it. It's a flow. And it's interesting because you're a Taurus, right? So I'm seeing you allow the flow, and it's okay. It comes out your eyes a lot, and you have some emotions. Okay, that's cool. That's what flow is about. But I see the ease of it now. You have ease versus before you had intensity of like, I got to figure this out. Or if I don't figure this out, I don't know what I'm going to do. And now you're like, oh, it's okay. I am figuring it out. And this is the journey, and I'm on it. And I love myself for that. Sonia, yeah, your transformation with the Law of Attraction course and with your vulnerability, and you're a very fast processor also, I'm going to say, like me. And so I see you, like, you take it on and you go, okay, I'm doing this. You're very focused. And then you know what that means. And I've just seen this immense amount of trust, definitely more joy, more self-confidence, and also the taking your power back instead of giving it away to circumstances and to other people. And you've been able to embody all of those lessons to show others. And you're such an amazing example. I can't wait to see what happens for you too in 2024, all of you, 2023. I'm sorry, I'm already jumping to 2024 to see what's going to happen with you, which everybody will. And yeah, you're the strength of the vulnerability. Sometimes people can hear that, oh, we want to be more vulnerable. And they go, what does that mean? Oh, I'm supposed to share more. But you dove right into, no, I need to open my heart. And this is what's going to look like. And you've been very brave, as you all have been. So everyone's confidence has grown. Everyone's peace has increased. Everyone's groundedness in who they are has grown. And again, added some flow, deeper trust, more light, more love, more happiness, and a confidence that if you're ever in a situation, you know how to find your way back to who you really are. So I appreciate all of you on this journey. If any of you who are listening would like to be on a similar journey, as of the recording of this, there are 2 slots left for 2023 in the 6-month program. I did the 3-month beta. It was lovely, wonderful. Everybody in that group's moving on to something else, but I will not do the 3-month again because it isn't enough time. It isn't enough time to learn information in your character 1 and then embody it in your character 3 and 4. So we need time to do that. And this is how I would like to proceed working with people in the future. I thank you all of you. I thank all of you who are listening and are watching, and know that there's help for you. Know there's a different life for you. You just have to decide you want it, and you have to believe that you're worth it. So with that in mind, and everybody, did you want to say something else, Vesta? No. Okay. So thank you all. I love you. You guys can stay, and I'm going to stop the recording and say, until next time, everybody, and hope you enjoyed today's episode.